All right, folks, I just finished a large 8.5 by 11 double session, very long format card here, if you can call it card scene, I guess. So let's take it to a different speed level in terms of some very quick and easy Christmas cards. Okay, these are some quick cards that I was doing at the convention last weekend for demonstrations, and I thought doing some quick cards in that scenario would be good. So you can cycle through some different types of techniques and whatnot. Hello, Debbie. How are you today? So one of the things that I took out there, because no one would have seen this out there in a live demonstration, at least. There are people that watch the channel, but the printable vinyl, okay? I even took out the little cardboard packet that came in so that people could see it, but printable holographic starry vinyl, okay? And I really emphasize the printable aspect of it to everyone out there. In terms of something that's really fun to work on, and a lot of people had Brilliance already. There were a lot of long-time rubber stampers out there, so you know they were familiar for the most part. Just about everyone that I talked with Brilliance inks. A lot of people hadn't used the Brilliance inks, so yeah, I've been on a roll, huh? All right, here, let's see. Well, I've been certainly having fun, Debbie. All right. So, let's get to it. All right. So, with this type of vinyl, I'm finding that it's just this vinyl can take different types of inks, but I haven't been using it too much without the Brilliance ink. Okay, I just think the Brilliance ink in this printable vinyl is just it's such a dynamic combination of media to go with. I mean, it's so easy to work with, and then it's so phenomenally accepting of different types of media over the top of both of them. Okay, you can go with whatever inks you want directly onto this vinyl. And then if you put this Brilliance ink down there, it creates kind of almost like a matte, layer of kind of a texture that's almost like copy paper, something like this. And it's just affixed so well that you can use any type of media over the top of that too, without sealing it, okay? Normal foils and whatnot, metallics that you would run into would require some sort of sealant if you laid down some of this Brilliance ink over the top of it because it wouldn't adhere. All right. Hello, Mindy. You missed me at the convention last week. Well, we had some fun there, so we'll go over some of the things that we went over at that show on the printable vinyls here in this video, so you won't have missed anything. All right, so here's a couple of the samples that I did at the show, and they're really fast and easy to do. Okay, so if we're printing imagery over the top of something this loud, it's going to be hard to see if you just print it in black, okay? So you have to do some blocking out, all right? So let's go with the covered bridge on this one, the winter covered bridge, all right? I love using this image with this combination here, all right? So it's going to be roughly go about right here, okay? But the thing about this is you don't have to be perfect in terms of your placement or anything like that. As far as the white ink goes, just use enough of it, okay? Don't kind of apply it down here and then stamp this up here, and then you'll have all the stars going right through all of this building and whatnot. So just kind of know the rough area of it, okay? And you can hold it up next to it, just to get a rough idea like that. And then you can see it goes down there like so. So I'm going down here, and I'll put a little bit of a rough outline like that. Okay, so I know the gist of it, so I just need to get enough of this ink laid down. This is the one thing that I do too here, is I get that roughly laid out, okay? Now this goes on here and it dries really fast, okay? So it's not like we can kind of spread it out, but you can add additional tone up here like this. So I kind of give it a good blocking out in terms of opacity, and then I'll use, this gets drier on here, and then you just go above it to get a lighter touch. And then what that ends up looking like in a winter type of scenario is this mist or something like that kind of rising from the surface, or it can look like clouds in the background. Hello, Linda D and Anita. Good to see you. Happy Sunday afternoon, or whatever time it is for anyone. All right, so this area down here just needs to be filled in. You don't have to do it to opacity. I mean, I don't really mind sometimes if I hold something up like that, and if a little bit of the star kind of textures are showing through. I don't know if they are on here or not. Maybe like in a couple of these little areas. Maybe I blocked it out pretty good. I can't really see anything. But I don't know if I want to have a lot of it showing through like a rooftop or something like that. Okay. So don't worry. Here's another thing too. When you're applying this type of ink in this type of process, don't worry about it being smoothly applied, okay? It's not really going to matter by the time you add your imagery over the top of it, so it takes all of the, I don't know, the burden of, I don't know, whatever, exact, whatever, applications out of the equation, okay? You can have it kind of blobby, some areas can be a little bit thinner, you can have some areas thicker, because you're not really going to be able to see this. It's going to be subsurface in terms of visibility, noticeability, all that type of stuff, by the time you stamp your imagery over the top of it. It's kind of what you would see out there in nature anyways, it's not, snow is not going to look like some kind of like concrete, perfectly smooth area, unless it was, fell onto an area like that. But this is supposed to be more kind of a curvy, varied surface type of area in this image, okay? And plus, light falls differently in different areas too, so if you have an area that's a little bit less opaque, it would just read as a shadow or something like that. You've got your campsite set up. Hello, Gene. Okay, so that is that. All right. Now, let's see. That is the Brilliance ink. Brilliance ink is a water-based pigment ink, and it is known to be fast drying, but when you do it on top of this printable vinyl with that type of surface, it dries pretty fast. So, I mean, it might be a little bit moist still as I put my hands over it, It feels a little bit tacky, but it's really setting up very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if it's completely dry to the touch in 60 seconds or something like that, all right? But it's fully able to accept my inks at this point in time. Okay, now the ink that I took out to the convention last weekend was a Memento Black, okay? Just because the inks out there dry very quickly, and I thought about taking my VersaFine ink, but I didn't have a VersaFine Clair re-inker. So it's like, okay, I'm not going out to Arizona without a with a black pad that doesn't have a re-inker, because it's just going to dry up too fast. So I'm just going to use that one. Let me see. I'm looking for to see if I have my re-inker. I don't know where I put it with this one right here. But I thought I would also try the VersaFine Clair on here now that I'm back, so we can see how that looks. Hello, Froggy Fresh. Good afternoon. Good evening. All right. Graphite black. I'm going to do 4 of these right here, and you'll see how fast these can come together. All right. Stamping this out here. Like that. Pulls right off. really great impressions on top of remarkably good impressions, considering we're stamping on top of white pigment ink, in my opinion. Because, okay, so I say that because one of the things that you might think about, because that would happen on a non-porous surface. Now, this is not non-porous. I don't know what it is, that's on there. I think it's emulsion. Some kind of emulsion coating, I think, is what they use on inkjet papers, okay? And that really, I don't know, it has a kind of almost like a tacky feel. Like, see, if I put my finger on it just in that bare area, it sticks to it. So it's just grabbing that ink perfectly, and that's what I want out of that. So this, like I said, you don't have to spray. Nothing I do on this is going to necessitate the spray sealing, like with an acrylic spray or a Krylon or something like that. Hello, Beatrice. All right, so adding this down like so. Okay, this is the snow pattern right here. Adding that down like so, right in here. I'm going to add another fence around here. I like this look of these fences for my foreground in these scenarios. One good thing about these types of papers is that the sky is done. Nothing more need be, said. You can put, I don't know, if you had a word stamp up here, that'd be a good one for a holiday card, right? Happy holidays or something like that if it was thin enough. This is okay, so I made this on a 4 by 5 1/4. And I just did that just so I'd be able to mat it on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of pearl. I thought the pearl would go well with that. And then I would put it on some sort of not black, but, like a blue or something like that paper, folded card, I think. All right, so that being said, let's go to, where is it? Oh, okay, I need my, oh, here we go. Here's my Pine Row stamp, okay. I've been stamping this in colors or black my entire life, or sometimes in colors if I add it to a background, and I want it to look farther back in the distance. But I haven't been stamping it in white very much, but I love it in white in these winter types of scenarios. All right, let's take this and let's dab off a little bit of this tone off the bottom so that gives it a little bit more of a graceful transition into this area down here. It's going to be going right into that snow area like that. And if you're going to put it behind, the bridge, the covered bridge, then just mask off the covered bridge a little bit. All right, but great impressions directly on the foil as well. Okay, like that. I'm a little bit lazy. I don't want to put any right behind there because I would have to go like this and mask it off, and that's just too much work like that. No, I want to leave a little bit of those stars showing like that. I stamped it a little bit higher too for the fence than I'm going to add in here, so that's why I'm doing that. But that works really great, I think. Like so. Let me see. Well, let's go ahead and add the fence in first. I was going to add some little bit of texture down here, which I'll do later. Okay, let's see. Which one should I go with? Should I go with the smaller one? Let's go with the larger one, I think. Let's go like this. They're not going to match up like perfectly, okay? But not something that I really care about. I just want that foreground in there, like about like so. Glad you like it, Debbie. Froggy. Isn't it fun stuff? I mean, this is almost done. I mean, we can keep adding to it, but it comes together really fast. Okay, so adding this down like so. kind of going halfway on, halfway off. All right, like that. That has that little bit of a thing like that, but again, not something that I care about. There were two different fencing contractors, okay, when this location was built. And they weren't seeing eye to eye. All right, so that is that. Let's add a little bit more foreground in here. Foreground texture. Let's see, the form of the tiny rocks. All right, and I mean, you can do things in the foreground if you want to. Oh, that was the VersaFine Clear that I used there. Okay, so let's add a little bit of this in the foreground. Here's what I was doing too. Here, let's do this like this. Then I won't have to clean this off as much. Let's go with a little bit of this white reed right here, okay? And then I'll add some black as well. Something like that. I don't know, maybe I'll even sandwich it. Okay, so go with some black here, like that. I think I'll just leave it at that. I was thinking about going with another layer of white reeds over the top of the black just to kind of break that up a little bit, but I think that looks fine like that. Okay, so here's what... I mean, I like this for every little aspect that I've mentioned so far in terms of, oh, I don't know, whatever, stamping ease, the ink surface compatibility. No, it doesn't have to be sprayed because it adheres on this perfectly fine. This is not rubbing off at all. You could spray it if you want to, but it doesn't need to be. One of the few things that I say that, oh, I'm kind of indifferent about spraying because I don't know if it's going to enhance anything that's on here if you spray it. I would typically leave it as is because I think it kind of has that matte yet metallic type of surface quality on there, okay? So sometimes you'd want, like if you're doing matte types of applications with things like pastels or colored pencils, sometimes you want to keep that spirit of it, as opposed to spraying it with maybe a gloss or a semi-gloss, but if you did spray something like this, it has both the matte now and the gloss up there, so I'm not sure what you would spray it with. You can go with the semi-gloss that's kind of in between, or just give it a light spray if it's a gloss, and I don't think it would change the spirit of it too much. Or then there's the workable fixatives too, which are matte, but then I'm not sure, if you'd want to go over this more glossy part with a matte because it can kind of mute it out a little bit. So I don't know. I would just leave it as is. I mean, it makes it easier for all of us, right? Just to leave it, or not have to do it. Okay, so this is a colored pencil. It's my Prismacolor. I do think that a softer type of colored pencil would probably be better, but this paper feels like it's so adhered. I mean, the ink feels like it's so adhered to the surface. I think it would be accepting of a little bit of a harder colored pencil. The transfer rate would probably be a little bit different. Okay, now what I'm doing right here is I'm not really inventing anything. I'm just kind of going over. There's darker areas on the design. You can see these little tracks in the snow like that. And I'm just kind of going over those areas like that. I'm just reiterating it in a hue, okay? Like so. You can do, different colors in your color bridge if you want to. Maybe let's bring a little bit of like a brown or something like that. See, this just is like one color right here, but see how much that adds to the whole flavor of it. I mean, that's something that you just cannot get out of a lot of different media, that super soft look of colored pencils, okay? I love the look of colored pencils. Sometimes I haven't really done it over the years very much because I usually like kind of a wider range of intensity and texture, okay? And colored pencils are usually very soft, okay? Like I said, I do like the look, but I usually like to have a range as well, or a potential range. And colored pencils, like I said, they're always really soft. They're more pastel-like. I should do it more often just for variety, but this, I get that inherently. I already have like the super vibrant, you know, ultra vibrant range of tones just in the holographics. This one's the starry, of course, but just the plain holographic looks really good too. It would look like, I don't know, Northern Lights, or I don't know, something like that, with the just the plain holographic. Okay, so this is a little bit of brown. I'm doing it very lightly, but then see, like underneath the eaves, in the design itself, there's shadows, like the side of the covered bridge is darker. So I will follow that kind of guide with the colored pencil. So you get that side that looks a little bit darker. It's what they call turning the object in space. It looks a little bit more three-dimensional that way. Going with a little bit more of this. This is supposed to be snow up here, so I use this little bluish tinged color for that. But I don't color everything, okay? I want to leave the white in there, or most of it. All right, and if you want a darker version of it, just press harder or switch to another hue, value of blue maybe. All right, so glitter on the card would be great. I think little crystals, to embellish up here would be really fantastic too. But we'll go with that, and let's see. Let's hit this with a little bit of the Dr. Martens. As I was doing that, I was thinking, how about a little bit of brown on this fencing right here as well? Now, if you want to really, kick this up in a very quick fashion, you just take some Dr. Martens right here on a little bit of a tip of your splatter painting device. I like a toothbrush. And we're going to splatter paint this whole thing. This is a very light toned scene, so you can't really see it too much. Like, it's right in front of me, and I can't see it too much either. But what's fun about this, I don't know if you'll be able to catch this, but okay, let me see if I can get that. Okay, you can see that right there. You can see that that's really splattered up there with white, okay? But then when you see it like that, I mean, it just kind of blends in with that background. But there's that textural form of that splatter in front of all of these things. So it gives it a little bit more of a kind of a wintry feel, having that snowfall kind of in there. Like I said, it's a little bit more visible in, less light, all right? But another layer in there of depth, and I don't know, it took, 5 seconds or something like that. I don't know, that's one of those things that's like whatever payoff for the effort is, that ratio, the ratio is very high there, okay. All right. So blocking out, stamping, reverse, color stamping, white on dark is in there, colored pencil applications. From a structural standpoint, we have background, foreground in here. You know, the background is the covered bridge, the foreground's this. We have multiple tones of reeds right here. And we're talking, you know, what are we at? We're at the 25-minute mark. And I talked for a little bit before getting into it. So, you know, it's like a 20-minute card. You can leave out a step or two, you know, if you want in there. And I don't know, it makes for a very quick application. You can mass produce these ones too if you just do all of your kind of blocking out. The blocking out's the thing that takes, you know, a little bit of time on this, but I don't know, you can also do like smaller little cards like, you know, I don't know, whatever, 2x2s or something like that, and just go for, you know, that part of the image or something like that. You know, you can put a little, you know, star up there if you want to, and you can make ornaments, you know, stuff like that. I think would be perfect for that type of application right there. But that little thing in there with those little lights, it's like having like a little, for me, it's like having little LEDs like in the card itself or something like that, you know. It's like having a little bit of a light show. And I really love that, kind of that notion or that visual in there. All right, so that is that. Let's go on with a couple more of these, and I'll show you just again how fast these can really come together. Let's see. Let's use, I thought I'd do a couple different ones than I've done so far, playing around. I wanted to try a moon in here too, you know. I don't know. We're going to have like stars on the moon, but oh, who cares? All right, so let's see here. All right, I did a couple different sizes, a smaller size. Yeah. Let's do something with the lakeside cabin, and we'll go, let's see, should we go vertical like that? Let's do that right there. All right, so maybe I'll put a quote in this one too. All right, so here's the fun thing about doing water types of scenes is that you have sky that can be reiterated in this lower section here, unless it was just like ice or something like that. But let's say it's, you know, early winter or something like that. Or I don't know, it could be, I don't know, just whatever, a fall night where that's still liquid down here. So I'm just going to be blocking off roughly, this happens to be about 1 3/4 inch high. So I'll block out a strip about that much, okay? All right, go like this. I'm trying to remember if I did this in, if I use this surface in a lightning kind of scenario. I noticed out in Arizona, Mesa, at that convention, I know people seem to like lightning types of scenes. I was thinking maybe they can see more of the lightning, you know, strikes or something like that, you know, without so much kind of I don't know, whatever sky obstruction out there. Yeah, depending on where people live. All right, so that is that. I think I just had to make sure that cabin's kind of in that area. Let's see, the cabin, actually the cabin's going to be over here, right? Stamps stamped this way, right? I tend to forget that. All right. I think that is it. See, I'm kind of tapering that up a little bit where it's a little bit more dense in here, so it looks like this kind of tapering, you know, off, whatever, cloud essence, whatever you'd call it, vapor. A little bit more around the horizon like so. And it's nice having all my, I mean, these are the clean versions right here, but I washed off all of my tack and peel before the show, so I don't clean up my area very often, but I kind of had to get organized figuring out what I was going to take out to that convention to demo with, because I don't have a separate demo kit anymore like I used to back when we were traveling all the time. It's the hardest thing, kind of figuring out what to take, you know, taking into consideration the amount of space that I have to work with at these shows, which isn't a lot. All right. Hello, bugs. Isn't that fun with the white tree, Linda? Mica powder. Mica powder would look anything kind of I don't know, anything kind of I don't know, bling oriented, I think would look fantastic on here. You can do this is really stuck on here. That vinyl really sticks, okay? But there we go with that. I'll show you something too that I did while I was out there with this sky right here. This sky area, like I said, it's perfect for like a word stamp, you know, Merry Christmas or something like that. But I'm going to show you something I did with a cloud stamp that I really like too. Go get a snack, Froggy Fresh. Don't faint on us. All right, so adding a little bit more cloud structuring up here. Okay. All right, I'm going to let that set up just a touch, not too much though. And let me see, should I put on, I can just stamp some other trees down here. I was thinking about, I can put a ledge down here or something like that, but let's just go with some trees down here. All right. I'm pausing here because I think I can layer black and white trees into the foreground too. And maybe I'll do that on the next card. But I think that would look kind of interesting. You know, to do that right there, right up front like that. By the way, if you haven't seen these videos on this paper before, I don't think I've mentioned during this video yet that this is sticker paper, okay? So you can adhere it to something if you want to. Oh yeah. Okay, I almost forgot about this. There's so many different things I need to get to that I've been experimenting with, including those foamies. I can't wait to play around with those more. But okay, here's what I need to do. I need to take this vinyl sticker paper and I need to cut it, you know, the circumference of like a cup or something like that, and then do a scenario like this on there, a scene, and then you throw your little LED, you know, little candlelight type of thing into that, and I think it would make for an interesting little, you know, holiday type of I don't know, whatever you call it, candle holder or whatever, you know. But I think it'd be interesting because I think this is like see-through. You know, I think the light, I don't know. I don't know if the light would show through it now that I'm thinking about it or not. It is really thin, but maybe that foil would make it not transparent. I don't know if the light would show through. I'm holding it up to my light. No, okay, I'm holding it up to my light, and I think that light does come through those little stars in there. Okay. But I don't know. Maybe you'd have to have the spotlight shining like on it from the outside. Or, you know, if you have it somewhere where you have like your lights kind of, you know, twinkling around it or something like that, have it on some sort of thing with lights around it, maybe? I don't know. Maybe on your tree, I don't know. Okay, so let's try something here with, let's go with a dye-based ink on my cloud. Okay, so I'm going to have this cloud bottom lit. Okay, so I'm going to have it like this up here as opposed to going like this. Okay, so I've blocked it out using a little bit of that white pigment ink, and I'm going to blot off this edge right here. Okay, because I don't want this hard rectangle shape down here. Okay, I don't know if it would show up or not. You might not need to do that, but we're just going to stamp this right into the white, so you're really not stamping it on, you know, holographic vinyl direct, although you could, but it's really stamping more onto the white there, and that's what's showing up right there. See that real soft kind of transitioning into that? So remember, I kind of softened up this part by wiping it off before I made my impression on there. Now right here, there's just a tiny bit of it. It looks like I can see some of that blue impression directly on that, where that goes a little bit beyond that. I don't know. It seems like it tapers right into it beautifully, though. So things, like I said, things stamped onto this paper right here directly would kind of get lost. Even if you stamped like this black image over the top of it, I don't think you'd be able to see very much of it if that white wasn't underneath there. But again, okay, remember, one of the things I forgot to point out remember how blobby this looked in here when I was applying a lot of that white in there? You can't see it, you know, at all in there. And like I said, in here, you know, as you're applying that white ink underneath this image before you got it down, if it was all kind of unevenly applied and blocky, you can't see it anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't have to be a consideration at all. I don't know. You know, maybe if you had like a 5% version of it here and, you know, a big blob of it there, maybe, you know, but the tolerance range is vast with this process. It just makes it so user-friendly. It's really amazing. Okay, so this color right here, I didn't plan for this, but that color of that memento is kind of this color, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on this rooftop, I think. Like I said, I don't know if this, you know, represents kind of a snowy scenario in here or what, but I'm going to put some of it down on my rocks, like that, just to get a little of that tinge of, you know, some additional color. I think it makes it fills it out a little bit more than just stamping directly black and just leaving it as is, which you can do. But I just think that this makes it look a little bit more complete and rich in kind of a minimal way. I'm not doing a lot here. Let me add a little bit more here. About like so. And how about some of that brown? Where did my brown colored pencil go? I think I put it away already. Go like this. See this little cabin right here. If you make the walls around the window a little bit darker, I'll make the side of the cabin quite a bit darker, like that, just so that it looks like it's more three-dimensional. But if you make the front of it, you can do it a little bit uneven too, like that, but it makes that light in the window stand out a little bit more. You can put a little bit of yellow ink or something like that, or some additional white to make it look brighter. All right, but let me see, I'm getting a little bit of glare here, but you know, a totally, I don't know, whatever, electric looking scenario here. You can see where it's kind of blocked off up there. So it just kind of changes that sky, you know, so that it's just not this big rectangle of that shape going up here. You can add some more white down here if you want to. And sandwich your imagery in a little bit more tone. That's one thing I forgot to do, which you can do, but you don't have to do. But like on this one right here, we went white, imagery and color over the top of it and left it at that. But you can also go white, imagery, coloring, and all that. But then you end up with the white too. I'll show you what this looks like in here, okay? So let's go with a little bit more white, okay? Every time when I'm doing this in here, I'm flattening it out because when I dab it into this, you know, it comes up a little bit frayed. So you just kind of flatten it out a little bit on your pad top or whatever. And then let's come in here a little bit more like this. And, you know, just in a couple little areas, what you're doing is you're kind of diffusing some of that imagery a little bit visually. So you're kind of putting it behind a thin layer of this white ink again, like that, okay? So I think that looks really good because it also kind of, it envelops your imagery in that texture that you've applied down here. See this kind of harsher, kind of, you know, darker area down there, but you can kind of oscillate it a little bit with a softer look like that. Don't do it over everything, but see, it's right here, it's right there. To me, that when you do something like that, it just makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Okay, so we have this down here. See this whole area along the water line. I mean, I think it looks fine like that, but let's have a little bit of this mist kind of rising from the surface in a couple different areas, so I'll just add a little bit like that. I don't add it over the whole thing because I think that, you know, then you don't get the benefit of the contrast. So if you do it, you oscillate it, have a little bit, and it doesn't matter where you put it, just don't put it everywhere, okay? So it's like soft, sharper, soft again, sharper over here, you know? If you want some of these trees in the background to be a little bit, you know, softer, then you can put it over a couple of them like that. And it looks like they're kind of within that space now, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's in that environment like that too. You can put a little bit more of your clouds as well, like this. So you're softening up. So it's not just that one tone of that blue. Now it's, see, it's really like a bright blue. There's a little bit of a duller blue there. So this right here, it's kind of all monotone. Then you go like this and you have kind of a multi value impression. I mean, it's not, you know, we don't have like super dark blue because this isn't a super dark blue, but now I have a straight blue and a little bit of a lighter one. And all it takes is like, I don't know, it's like literally like 2 seconds in that area up there in the clouds, but you've kind of expanded the value range of it. And now you have this. From a textural standpoint, you have the imagery that's a little bit softer. Plus, it looks like kind of like mist is rising off of the surface like that. You can have your little area for your word stamp in here or down here if you want to. But here you have that sky repeated down that water. So it's one of the things I really love about reflective types of scenarios, you know, like lakes, is it gives you an excuse to have your sky imagery repeated down, you know, on the surface, and it makes it, I don't know, kind of double evocative or something like that. Let's see here. What did I miss here? Grilled pizza sandwiches. That does sound pretty good. Hello, Dawn. Good to see you. Laura, will it wipe off? No, it won't. Look at this right here. It won't, it's not going to wipe off. You don't have to even spray seal it. It is affixed on here. It's one of the most, it's not designed for stamping, you know, printable vinyls. It's meant to go through, printable vinyls are designed to go through inkjet printers. That's what there's, you know, printable things are for. But that aspect of it, it is pretty nice for us stampers in terms of, I'm trying to think of a scenario in a media surface scenario that's just might not work. Okay, so I've tried the VersaFine clears directly onto this paper and it dried fine. Now that's the one thing that I found didn't work with certain types of non-porous surfaces is a oil-based pigment ink, okay, because it just doesn't dry in certain scenarios. This, for example, I don't think it's going to dry on just your white photo paper, you know, your Kodak, your Epson, you know, those types of photo papers. For me, it just never dried. But for some reason, it's drying on the glossy, I mean, on the vinyls, the vinyl, printable vinyls. I don't know why. I would think that it would be a similar type of coating on printable vinyl as printable, you know, photo paper, but, you know, it's not. I don't know what it is, so it's just different. But see this right here? I mean, you know, I just laid down that white in there, and that's, you know, it's not really coming off. I mean, I have some of it here, but that was from earlier. But it really dries fine. Yeah. I mean, I can handle this. And that, you know, it's a pigment ink, so pigment inks are really thick too, even though Brilliance inks dry really fast. But I don't know, this can be handled without any problem. You know, it's not smearing or anything like that. I can go into it pretty fast after making the impressions. Not only that, with colored pencils of all things, a hard, sharp media digging into, theoretically, you know, what could be, you know, potentially a surface that you would think is not set up and adhered to it in the form of the white Brilliance inks. But you can go right into it, like right away, and start coloring with your pigment inks on there. I mean, your colored pencils into the pigment ink. Let me do something right here as I was looking at this piece. Let me see if I can get a little bit of yellow into that window there. And I'll put that, I drew the reflection of that interior illuminated window down here in this design too. So here it is, a little bit of warm light, you know, within that cabin reflected down here, like so. Let me add a little bit of extra texturing in here with a little bit of white paint pen. I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight on some of these rocks underneath my window. And let's put a few little kind of larger dots in here. It could be stars, but they're white ones as opposed to foil ones now, so you'll get a little bit of an extra layer of whatever starry textures that react differently to light in terms of a flat white and a reflected one. So I'll show you what this looks like here. So someone's, you know, someone gets this card from you is probably going to do something like this with it, you know, and check it out like that. But even in the absence of light, let me see that all the stars that I added like that? That looks like night like that, right? Now I have a lot of light in my studio desk right here, so just under normal lighting situations, like say someone's looking at your car and there's light coming through their window or something like that, they'll see that change like that happen under normal lighting situations. Or, you know, if they have it up on the mantle like that and it's kind of darker or something like that at some point in time, they might see that. So, you know, without too much reflected light on there. And they turn the lights on in the room and it might look more like that. So it's just, I like the, kind of the interactive aspect of a reflective surface, because it just changes around, especially the holographics like that that have those, you know, inherent colors within there. I don't even know how it works. So, yeah. All right. So, Debbie already answered that heat setting aspect of it. Good evening, Karen. I'd add a Santa in a boat traveling to the island. That would be perfect, Candy. Any links for the supplies used? Virginia, I put those links at the in the description section of all the videos. I don't have it in this one right now, but I'll put it in there later. Hello, Janie. You do need to make these cards, Froggy Fresh. They're super fun like that. Sticker paper that you use the tape runner on to release paper on the release paper to mount it. Will the sticker paper separate with time and fall? I don't think so, Laura. I probably don't need to do this on the quarter page cards, but when I take off that sticker part of it on the back of here, this is like really, really thin. And sometimes, you know, if I'm laying it down on a pre-cut piece of paper without too much tolerance, sometimes I start laying it down. I think you guys know what I'm talking about here is, you know, by the time I get over here, it's like off, you know, like by that much sometimes. So sometimes I just find it easier just to go with the crafter's tape for this. But I think on a quarter page, I can probably handle it, you know, and just get this laid down just right. But I did it with like a half page, and it was like, by the time I got to the other side, it was like off by like a 1/16 of an inch, you know, where it didn't have very much of a border. So I didn't like that too much. I mean, I just cut it off again, and, you know, I just remounted it. But I don't know, that happened to me. Okay, so let me do something on this one too. I think this would look good on this one as well. But I hope you guys see that these really do come together pretty fast, and they're super easy. The one thing about these cards, though, I mean, it's the thing that might hold people back from doing this is that it's just not a conventional type of thing. So I don't know. People think that it's, you know, it's different. You know. It's a different kind of process. And there's, I don't know, there's a lot of variation and tolerance kind of inherent in this that traditionally you just wouldn't think would be there, okay? And that went the same for me too. I've been working with holographic foils for the last maybe year and a half or so. Which I love, but they are not this. You know, you have to heat set, you have to spray seal, you know, with certain types of media. I got that one a little bit crooked. But yeah, it just, I don't know. It's a different thing. And from talking to people, that are used to doing certain types of processes or certain types of looks of paper necessitating certain types of things like heat setting and spray sealing is just not needed here. I don't know. I haven't found anything that this is needing so far. Okay, I want to try something else right here now too. I haven't done this since I did it on holographic foil, but I wanted to do some blocking out on here with white, and I wanted to try stamping an impression on here with colored dye-based inks. All right, I don't know if this one's going to work or not, okay? I haven't tried this one yet. I think I tried it once, but in a different scenario, so I'm not sure. Yeah, dark blue would look good, cool back there too. Karen wants to live there. There's you can go on Airbnb and just type in the code Stampscapes, Karen, and it's you can have a free weekend there. All right, let's try something different here too. Let's go with that torn paper towel kind of cloud look. Let's see if I can get a good rip here. I think this is a different brand of paper towels. It's like crispier here. All right, well, that's not it. I want it a little bit more rounded looking here. Hello, Jeline. Hello, Virginia. Hello to anyone else that's joined in. It's a blanket hello. Greetings. For anyone that's watching too. I met a lot of people that, or I don't know, not a lot, but a few people that do watch the channel at the conventions. You know, they always say hi to me at the show, but they don't say anything on these live streams. And one of them, if you are on, hello, she said, hey, you know, I gotta figure out how to, you know, join your special club. And I said, what do you mean what special club? She was one of the people that are kind of, you know, chatting during these live streams. I said, all you need to do is just, you know, you just type in the comment and press send. It's not like, you know, you don't have to sign up for anything. But she watches on TV, though. So it might not have like a keyboard type of application. It just might be a smart TV, and you kind of, you know, toggle over that, and it might not have that. So I guess that was that. All right, so let's add in these clouds like this. I do usually do this on like the iridescent papers, the foils and whatnot, where I can kind of blend this out a little bit more, okay? But this is like drying really fast, so let's see what we can do here. All right, so I'm going to layer this a little bit. I really inked up my white pad before I started this video too, because I know I'd be doing a lot of blocking out. All right, so a couple little layers like that. This is why I like to have it kind of like more rounded like that. I usually do different types of shapes of clouds, but the cumulus kind of looking cloud is always kind of the more, I don't know, kind of solid. So, you know, something that I can stamp over the top of. All right, like I said before, don't go for something like super smooth or anything like that. You want, you know, kind of more of these rounded forms in here. So having kind of a, you know, a smoother application, I don't think it would be, you know, needed, and might not even look, you know, kind of more natural looking as far as a cloud. If you have cloud templates too, like plastic cloud templates, you can use those to give you a more stylized look. Whatever you want to go for. All right. Okay, so I'm hoping my aspens will stamp across this. I don't know. I don't know, that's so much Christmassy. I don't know, I can do some trees in blue, I guess, or something like that. Kind of more wintry toned or something like that. Or I hadn't like thought about it, but I haven't stamped like imagery on this type of surface with like silver inks. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that from. I mean, I might do that kind of to experiment around and just see what it looks like. But in my mind, kind of already having this kind of super loud surface in the background, I'm not really going for something that's loud, you know, in terms of the other types of imagery. That's why I like, you know, colored pencils on here, because they're so mellow looking of a medium in there, and soft. I think it contrasts and balances out that louder type of foundation really nicely. Okay, so that being said, I mean, going in here like this too, I can bring in some colored pencils and kind of add some of those types of looks in there. I think that might look kind of interesting. I haven't done that before because I usually can't do that because most of the surfaces that I'm doing this kind of cloud surface on, I don't know, maybe on matte paper or something like that. I haven't tried like bringing in colors into these, this white pigment ink cloud. I know I wouldn't be able to do it on foil because the foil, if you put a line into something or you start coloring something with that white pigment ink down there, it would just scrape the white pigment ink right off of it. So, hello, Linda in South Australia. What time is it right there? 11:13 a.m. Yeah, it's the 3 a.m. The night crowd, which is more me too. I'm jumping on at this time because my wife took my son to parkour over to the gym, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna do a live stream while you guys are gone. Except instead of working out, he's leading a birthday party as a coach. So they're going to be gone a while. All right, so look at those clouds. I don't know, it looks pretty good, I guess. I'm going to be going over that. I'm hoping that I can stamp over it. Okay, so if I try a dye-based ink impression with some of those aspens or whatever, over the top of it, and if it doesn't stamp out, if it doesn't transfer or read on this surface, I'm just going to stamp something else right over the top of it, or I'll just add some other, some more white pigment ink over the top of that and just eradicate it, so. Okay, by the way, so you're adding this in here like that, okay? And then what you do is you take that off and then you blend above there like that. I don't know, doesn't that look better? So you freehand it and then you kind of go down and above like that. Now, see here, I'm going to leave some of these areas where some of that kind of starry type of texturing shows through a little bit, rather than blocking it out completely. I think that looks kind of cool. I'll mute it a little bit though, about like so. Let me see who joined in here. Willow. Hello, Willow. Oh, yep. There you go. I didn't see your name there. Thanks for logging in. Hope you enjoy this. Oh, it's 12:45 a.m. Okay, it's past your bedtime. We'll try to get a couple impressions going in here, but this is what we did so far. Quick and easy applications of stamps on vinyl, holographic, starry, printable vinyl, that is, okay? Don't mistake it with holographic vinyl, okay? As far as these techniques go, you can do certain things with vinyl holographic though, for sure. Vinyl holographic, holographic foils as well, okay? But this combination with the Brilliance ink is really, to me, very fun, very dynamic, and I don't know, just so much fun to do. All right, so let me see if I can get this on here. And now I'm thinking about if I want to do it like we're looking up at the sky. So I'm going to be putting these. I've done it like this before, where it's like you're looking up at the sky through kind of like laying on your back and looking up at the sky type of perspective. I'm going to put a little bit more clouds on this side like this, though, just to kind of round it off a little bit more like that. It was looking a little bit too... See, it's like exactly like 50% here. And, you've heard of that rule of thirds type of thing. So I'm going to come up here a little bit more. And we'll encroach into this other half up here, giving it more of that rule of thirds type of, I don't know, kind of compositional structuring here. So write that down because that's going to be on the quiz. Willow, we give a quiz at the end of every, every live stream, and for anyone that gets, a certain grade, there's like treats. We're joking here. Okay, say some people, people went for like that notepad, and started writing down that rule of thirds. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go for. I'm not sure what color scheme I'm going to be going for. Greens and yellows or something like that. Maybe fall tones. Okay. Let me see what I can get inherent in the impressions itself. I don't know if it's going to print out on here, okay? But we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. Ideally, I'd have like some other colors of brilliance inks, which I don't have. I just have the gold and silver, black and white, okay? And that's what I use on here. It's the same thing with like the VersaFine Clairs and stuff. A lot of those pigment inks, I don't have a lot of colors in pigment ink form. I had a few more when, there was the Clear Snap Color Box ones, but I hardly ever used them. It was always the white and the black, kind of the base, tones. More universally applied types of colors. Gold and silver are really fantastic too, but there are certain types of scenarios where I'm thinking, if I had those colors, I would probably use them or try them out. I don't know. All right, so I'm blending some different tones on here, and we'll see how it goes. Let me see. I have a really bright green too. Okay, let's see. I'm doing it really kind of scattered on here for variation. Sometimes when you end up stamping it out, it's like, oh, it all blended together on here anyways, and it's like monotone. So, I don't know. Sometimes you get some that really good kind of watercolory type of impression out of it, which is what I really like. All right, so holding it down longer, I don't know. Less time, I'm not sure what's kind of going to be the most effective. Sometimes holding it down a shorter period of time and you release it, sometimes it makes the impressions a little bit more surface oriented. All right, so that's not too bad. It's a little bit dark there, so let me go for a little bit of a lighter impression. Now, what I'm going to be doing on here, it's the paint pens, that I'm going to be using a lot on here. So I'm just kind of creating a foundation right now for these colors to be added on here. Okay, going on with the yellow. This one's kind of a little bit of a warmer yellow. See, I can't see that yellow in there at all. I think the darker green, number 72 pine green, dominated that, I don't know, whatever color blend on here. So let's see how this one goes here. Let me go a little bit lower, and I'll kind of angle slightly. Go like this, just to give it a little bit of a slightly different look. Like that. A couple little pairings. I'm going to put like an eagle or something up here. I think that would look good. But let's try some of these paint pens on here and see how they look. I haven't done this yet, but I really love the paint pen look for my imagery. Okay, these are the 3mm paint pens, acrylic paint pens. You can use the 0.7mm if you want to, the extra fines, but this will be much faster and more kind of impressionistic, I think. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Froggy Fresh made some Stampscapes on large vinyl covered magnets. I have some magnet material that I haven't tried yet. Is he now switching to dye ink? I did switch to the dye ink for these impressions right here, Virginia. You don't believe the quiz, huh? Okay, was it the rule of 3/4, the rule of half, the rule of 6/5, or is the rule of thirds? All right. Oh, Laura took off. Goodbye, Laura. Have a beautiful dinner there. I mean, she's already gone, but all right. So I'm adding this down here like so. Okay, so I'm going to try to give. I like trees and tree imagery to look very kind of gestural. Okay, here's that last video that I did over the course of several hours, but I finally got these trees where I wanted it to be really shimmery and kind of, where the leaves are falling and whatnot. One of the things I added in, if anyone watched this, is I added in these trunks in here, these little bits of the white bark in there. I forgot to do it during the live stream, so I don't know, I did it after. But okay, so what I'm doing right here with the little paint pen work is we're building out the tree from, a two-dimensional whatever foundation. I mean, this is still 2D, but I really want these trees to look like they're shimmery. So what I did was I used kind of these colors, right? When I colored the tree, inherent in the impressions itself, and I'm just going back in with that same kind of color scheme in the form of pens and building it out. These are transparent. These are translucent. I wish they were opaque, but they aren't. But they're, I don't know, they're maybe on top of this vinyl, maybe they'll be a little bit more opaque. I don't know. Some of this media, different types of media react differently to different whatever substrates, or I guess it would be in this case. So I'm really kind of applying this on the other scene that I just showed held up. That was on a base of a semi-gloss cardstock, okay? And you can say that I'm applying this pigment ink over a vinyl holographic foil, but I'm really applying it over the white pigment ink that's underneath it, though, or that's over the top of it and underneath the impression here. So it's probably, this, however this ends up looking, these layers of acrylic paint markers, it's probably a little bit more indicative of how these react to the Brilliance white than the the vinyl. I think the vinyl is just too buried underneath there to be affecting these marks in any way. But see, okay, so here, this green right here on this one especially, I mean, this tree is already looking a lot more three-dimensional, just, from a few, applications here. I don't know, it took like, 10 seconds on this little area right here. Okay, so I can see right now that over here, this is given a little bit of chance to dry. See that little brightness of that little dot right there? This is what it looks like when it dries. So it is drying more see-through, okay? So in some ways, I've mentioned before, it's kind of good in that it blends in with your background a little bit more for kind of visual harmony. But on the other hand, when I'm adding this on, at one point in time, I wish it would be more opaque, so that it stands out. So I wouldn't have to add in that one or two extra layers of a tone. So one of the things I'm going to do on these trees too, these trees start getting a little bit loud with all these dots, okay? So I just bring in like a little bit of this extra kind of white pigment ink into them, and it softens up some of the edges a little bit more here and there, and it looks like those trees are a little bit more integrated in with this kind of cloudy scenario. So we're bringing the cloud and kind of essence into these trees right here. So this is going to look really busy, but that's, you know, that just happens with this kind of, I don't know, whatever, this kind of impressionistic take on whatever, aspen leaves, I guess. So you can kind of cluster your little dots too. Now we're going lighter with a lighter tone here, a lighter value. And see how that really makes some of those leaves really stand out. I think the trees look a lot more three-dimensional now. And I think it gives, for me, it gives these trees kind of a movement to them, you know. It's really awesome to kind of walk amongst kind of trees, you know, leaves that are kind of rustling, right? And that's what I'm always going for trees. You know, maybe not some, maybe not like evergreens or like pines, but deciduous for sure. I don't like a static looking tree, like stiff. You know, I think they should maybe look more like they're, you know, moving in many ways. You know, with any little breeze that comes by, you know, these little leaves are kind of rustling about, and you know, you get leaves falling. I almost said petals, like that. All right. But that's what we can do now with these paint pens. These paint pens weren't around, you know, not too long ago, so I really love them. Okay, let's see. Hello, Rhonda. I turned night to day. Going in with some white here for those, like the lightest of touches. And again, this white is really going to become a lot more transparent, so it won't stand up this much. So if you ever start doing this type of thing and adding these little touches down into your scene, and it's like, oh my god, I added way too much. Just let it kind of mellow out and sit for, you know, a couple minutes, and it'll blend in with that background a touch. Sometimes a lot more, okay? Usually the lighter I go, kind of the less applications I do too. All right, this is what I'd like to do too here. This is what I was mentioning with that other scenario. I can't see. I do have the little trunk in here. I don't know if you can see that going up through here like that, but by the time you add in all that, you know, foliage in there like that, you can't really see it. But if you just kind of know the general kind of area, it'd be right in the middle of this tree right here, okay? I flipped my card up, my trees upside down, and I just go like this, and you kind of break it up. Don't do a full trunk like this, but have kind of bits of it showing, and then you come, you know, like this way and that way with, you know, a couple branches here and there, kind of going from that trunk. And remember, there's going to be leaves in the way, so you won't be able to see like the full thing anyway. But see, that kind of gives it a little bit of structure, doesn't it? Okay, so you can see this before, and we'll go after with that little bit of trunk. This, okay. And remember, if you don't, you know, I don't get this looking good sometimes, or right, or whatever. There's too much trunk. Then you just put some dots over the top of it again. Anyway. Maybe there's another tree in there somewhere, another trunk. as I'm doing this, some of the paint from the other dots in there, I think, are going up and jamming my thing. So just give it a little scribble like this, and get it flowing again. Go a little bit thicker in some areas. You can get more of that white bark reflecting some of that light. Like that. So see, like that. Doesn't it look, I don't know, doesn't that little scribbles look a little bit more three-dimensional? I'll show you what I was doing on let's just grab a black piece of paper here. So I'll show you what I'm doing right here. So remember, I'm just flipping this upside down like that, okay? And the marks are kind of like this. Something like that. So that type of thing has been applied right in here. Can you see that? That type of thing going on like that. All right, so take a mental note of it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 little streaks per every 2 inches. Here, I'll show you what it looks like on here too. So you can kind of see it on here. So on here, there's, I have a larger kind of area, but you can see it right there. See that right there? Yeah, down there. And then here's what it looks like rounded up, like that. I just find it easier. My strokes are just easier going like this, pulling down than going up. This, to me, this isn't like a natural motion like this is. So that's why I typically do it, like this way. I can just pull that way easier. I mean, yeah, I guess you can go like that, but I don't know. To me, it's kind of a little bit awkward. All right, so there is that. I don't have, like, this one looks totally different here. So let me put on a little bit more of this green, this lime green, okay? Into that, I think. You can just kind of go back and layer accordingly, whatever you want into that space, like so. If you get familiar with this, you'll know that you can kind of go a little bit more than what you think is needed. Because again, it just dries kind of more, I don't know, transparent. It moves in that direction. Different ones are probably going to, different brands of pens are probably going to be a little bit different too. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Where are my... Oh, let me see. I think this would be perfect for... I might do a quote stamp up there, but let's see. I'm looking at my my little eagles here. This is how I keep a lot of my unmounted rubber stamps in these little sleeves. This one's the coin organizer. These ones are the ATCs right here. See the coin ones right here, these little squares like this. And then this is the 4x6 photo prints, for larger designs. And if you go really large, like some of the really big stamps, long ones, these are the currency holders like that. So it goes, there's like 3 of these slots going across like that. Okay. So you can hold, a lot of stamps in one 4-inch binder. All right. So my clean desk is now like super cluttered again. After doing like a couple videos. Oh, let's see here. Let's use the VersaFine Clair here. I'm going to use this on my little eagle here. I'm just making sure my VersaFine Clear is nice and juicy. Not so much Christmassy, but I wanted to try this out on the holographic here. But I don't know. Okay, so just I think the dye-based things printed over the top of this Brilliance white pretty well. Okay. Now, if I did like black impressions down here and just went straight in, I mean, I think that would have worked out just fine too. So I wanted to check out that different little scenario there. I think that looks reasonably three-dimensional as well in that space. Let's see if we can push the that kind of illusion of depth even further with, like what I was saying, going back into it. We went white, we went imagery, and let's go white again over the top of it. All right. All right, I'm not going to use this. I've been pushing it with this one cotton ball. I think it's had it now. It's all lumpy. Yeah. I can get usually about 3 or 4 usages of my cotton ball before it has to be replaced. Okay, let's see. Go like that. Get a little bit of it packed in there like that, you know, past the surface, and you're ready to go. So I don't know, some people were asking me about different applicators, and I was saying, well, when I'm, you know, if I'm thinking about using something, in theory at least, if I'm going for like a really light, super light, kind of cloudy, misty type of application, I can't think of something that's softer than a cotton ball to do that with. So, and cotton balls, you know, the 100% cottons are, they're absorbent. Okay, not the synthetic ones, but the 100% ones. So things that are really super soft and are absorbent, in theory, should be able to absorb that wet media that you're doing and apply it in a very soft fashion. Now, you don't want this like sopping wet or something like that. So, but you know, I mean, you know, it's not like you have to get it like absolutely perfect, because you can also use just kind of a lighter tapping motion too, and it applies a much lighter touch. I'm going to show you how light and dry this is, okay? That's it right there, okay? So watch this. That's 20 taps right there, okay? And that's where people kind of, if they think this is a hard type of application kind of method, I'll show you what they do. And I totally understand this too from a kind of an experience standpoint, because people are used to getting a pen and putting a dot down, and it's a green, like 100% green version of that green. If you're going with a pen like this, it's 100% version of that particular blue in that form, but they're not used to, most of the time, inking something up, okay, with like an applicator and tapping it down there, and it's like a 2% version of it, okay? They're used to going with, you know, making a stamp in there, stamping it out, 100% version of that white, okay? But they're not used to utilizing really super dry versions of it like that. So what they do is they go like this, and if it's like that over there, where it's really dry, now I've really inked this up, and they go like that, they think, I can't, you know, they're doing this, and it's like, I can't see anything at all, so they go like that, you know? And then there's a big smudgy thing. So just, you know, kind of keep it nice and light and allow for repetition to, you know, affect or to define the look that you're going for, as opposed to immediacy. And, you know, it just becomes much easier of a process. And it's not slow either. I mean, you know, if you have to tap something out, let's say you're tapping something out 15 times. I mean, it took like five, I don't know. I don't think it even took 5 seconds. And there it is on the tops of those trees like that, okay? So again, kind of oscillating the application of it. There, watch this right here on that eagle. Let's underlight, bottom light that eagle slightly, okay? Like that. So it's like the light is coming from above and kind of affecting that, one wing. I mean, you can do it over the whole thing, but I think it's kind of better to have it kind of varied, just for, I don't know, change in intensity or value, that type of thing. And plus, it just looks like, I think it looks cool to have like mist kind of within a scene. It's what, set directors always use in plays and rock concerts, you know what I mean? Bring out the mist machine, or something like that. Movies, definitely. Like that, and you get this tree that looks a little bit more shimmery as a result of having some kind of diffusion over the top of it, I guess. All right, so let's see here. I think this would be a good area for some sort of quote up here. Let me see if I can find something real fast. Nature always wears the colors of the spirit. I use that one all the time. Yeah, let's do that one. I'm just eyeballing this. Let's see. Let me put it on this side. If I had a brilliance, oops. This one's all fuzzy here. I forgot. Okay, I have one brilliance pad that I use for my cotton balls because it gets all kind of hairy on here from the cotton. Now I just used one pad for like years, but then I don't know. I just finally got around to getting a second white pad just so I wouldn't have to do it. But whenever I was stamping out like word stamps, I would just take this C for cotton. I would just scrape off the that cotton residue on there, fibers, and I would just, I would ink up, my word stamp, but now I have a separate pad for that, for my impression purposes. I figured it was time after, doing that for a year and a half. Okay, I'm not really sure if I've... Oh, let's see. I'm going to put this one. Yeah. Trying to decide. I'm going to go right to left on this one, or left to right. All right, so if my head's in the way, I want to get this one reasonably straight. All right, look at that. I love the word stamps over this top, this holographic, because it looks like it's floating too to me, like that. And look at that, how much that stands out like that. You go like that. Oh, look at that. It's like silver or something like that on there. It's kind of weird. All right, but anyways, there's that piece like that. But I don't know, it's pretty fun. I think the paint pens on this holographic look pretty good. Like I said before, I don't want, in theory, some sort of like imagery down here that's competing too much with this area up here, but I don't think that does. I think it, I think that looks okay in there, It seems strange that this would be kind of a mellow, component of this type of scenario here. But when you're doing it on this kind of, I don't know, whatever electric light parade, foundation in the background, is LED experience, that imagery that's so kind of layered and dimensional suddenly becomes, I don't know, it's I don't know, pretty secondary. I think it loses out, but I think it's a compliment to this reasonably well, because people's eyes are going to go directly to this, if they receive this kind of, card that looks like that. All right, let's see here. Is this still one of these? Yeah. Like I said, I cut down this like an extra 1/4 inch so I can put it on a 1/4 page piece of the pearl here. And again, this is, if you just joined in, this is sticker paper, but I don't know. I think I can center this a little bit faster just going with my tape like this, because I can kind of move it around a little bit. The sticker paper on here is really, really sticky, which it's probably a permanent adhesive, because a lot of people are sticking this foil to things like, like plastic containers, like, in their pantry, or cups and things like that. So they want that to be really, really strong. Okay, so like I said, I would put these on some kind of folded card too, or or just mat it on something else. I don't know what colors I would do that on. Here's a dark blue like this. Yeah, it's a little bit too dark, but I don't know, something like that. The Starterine lapis lazuli would look really cool, I think. But let's go with one more scene. But again, I think these are really reasonably fast for the visual payoffs that they provide. You get that all those different colors on there that are changing colors as well. In just inherent in the paper itself. So we don't have to do anything like dynamic to get the dynamic aspect of the cards, if we're going after that type of thing right there. Let me do something. Okay, let's go back to winter here. Thanks for indulging me in maybe a non, Christmassy type of card there in that one. Let's go on with another piece like this. I'm going to put this Snowy Creek in here. And then I haven't done something with the Country Chapel, I don't think. The smaller one. I have this one right here. Okay. But I wanted to do the smaller one so that I'd have a little bit more room to kind of play around in here. So let's go like this. Okay, now, so here's what I'm going to do. There's just this little creaky area down here. And if I can, I'm going to try to block this area off like this to create that snow. And I'll block off a little bit of this in the form of the white pigment ink foundation on here, but I'm going to leave a little bit of this showing so that you get a little bit of that reflective type of quality from the stars in some of that water area, okay? But I'm not going to... It's not going to be something where I'm going to be, like super careful about it. Okay, if I get a little bit of it showing, great. If I don't, horrific. No. But let's just see what I can get here. Okay. All right. So it's going to be like roughly like this. All right. So that's going up about like so. And let's see. I'll put the chapel like right over here. Okay. So. We'll go up pretty high over here. So there's going to be a lot of blocking out on this one right here. All right, so, oh, not this one. Where'd C for cotton go? Oh, here we go. Put it over here. All right, so I'm blocking out. If you just joined in, what I'm doing is I'm blocking out this starry area where I don't want, us to see that part of the foundation, of this foil to be showing here. So I don't want that. I don't want a bunch of stars in my snow, in other words, okay? And what I was saying earlier, if I get some of it showing through, then that's fine. It's kind of cool. But, you know, for most of this, in this composition, I want it to be pretty blocked off. Okay, so this is where it goes to, roughly, the Snowy Creek, if I use the whole thing in here. So again, I go a little bit above that too, like about like so. And then that chapel is going to be roughly here. Maybe I'll have it going off the page. So I want all of that to be blocked off like that. And what I was mentioning at the beginning of this video is you don't have to go for, we don't need a smooth application of this at all, okay? It could be thicker in some areas, blocky. Don't worry about getting it completely, you know, absolutely smooth and transitions, you know, are beautiful or anything like that, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter. It ends up not mattering at all. I don't think, okay? Now, if I put like that down there or something like that and I stamp over it and, you know, this is blocked off like to that degree, yeah, you know, this is like a 2% and that's like a 90% block out. But you don't, it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to be super careful with it, okay? Here, let me go. I'm just going to do this just on purpose, okay? I'm going to leave that a little bit, you know, darker like that. And you know, for me, it ends up just looking like a shadow or something like that, a shaded area within the terrain, okay? Okay, so a little bit of that showing through like that. And that'll be kind of my little creaky area right in here. That will be reflecting some of the stars coming from above like that. All right, so let's go in now with, let me see, should I try the Versifying Clair? I've been going with the Brilliance Black for my black impressions in here. Let's test out the Clair and see how that goes over the top of the Brilliance. I think it's going to apply just fine. I'm doing that because I know a lot of you don't have, well, a lot of you don't have the like Brilliance White either. Get it, and then get a re-inker for it for sure, or two. You know what I mean? It works great just as a standard white pigment ink pad too. Except you can do like a gazillion more things with it in terms of foils and the vinyl printable cardstocks, you know. So it does everything that others can do, plus, you know, a myriad of other things. The one thing that you wouldn't do with the Brilliance probably, you know, use it to emboss because it dries really fast. So you might apply it down and, you know, you might stamp something out in a Brilliance White and then you go on to, I mean, you could if you work fast enough, you know, but you might sprinkle your embossing powder over it and it doesn't stick as well because it's, again, it's designed to dry quickly. All right, so this is the Clair here. We'll see how it does. I think it should apply just fine because I know it works fine on the directly on the vinyl. So I'm assuming that it would apply fine for the Brilliance, especially in the fact that the dye-based works just fine as well. I mean, it's not going to dry as fast as Brilliance ink on there. So there you have it. So there's my little kind of area right in there that's reflecting some of that water coming out of there like that. Let's see, from a visual standpoint, I think the Versifying Clair, I don't know. I think it's stamped lighter than the Black Brilliance, okay? Because it's a thinner ink, but it's super defined, just like Versifying, you know, impressions are. It's like really, really crisp. So that was the difference, I think, just upon my kind of gut, you know, assumption right now. Just based on one impression, you know. I'd have to test it out a little bit more. But that looks pretty good. I'll see if I can use the colored pencils on that VersaFine Clair as fast, though. It, you know, it might be a little bit wet, so if I go into it with my colored pencils, I don't know. It might not be. Okay, I'm going to go with the Brilliance for this Country Chapel here and just see if I can see any kind of difference here. Going in here, like about like so. All right. And that's where we have the block out. Remember, we blocked out the back with the white. If I stamp that chapel directly over that vinyl, we'd have those stars showing through that. So that's why we blocked it off, okay? But see, I have a little bit of, you know, that white out here and a white up top. It just looks like a cloud in the background or something like that. So like I said, you don't have to be like super careful about your application of that white, okay? I mean, that's one thing that I really like about that. It's one of the many things I like about this entire combination of media is the, you know, seemingly just the ease of applications of it all. All right, this is the tree cluster here. I'm going to wipe off the bottom of this a little bit because, you know, it's dark and you know, I'm stamping it on black, but this is all white down here. So I'm wiping this off. I'm thinking about going for another layer of trees in the background with like white, or even these ones again, but doing them in white in here just to get a little bit more depth. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Thank you, Linda. Linda D answered something here. Yeah. I didn't catch that question there, so it looks like Linda D answered that for me. So thank you for that one. Has to press really hard on his stamp. Oh no, you don't have to press really hard. Okay, so there's that one right there. Well, okay, so the larger the stamp, though, like on this one, there's just more surface area, okay? So that's why you press harder, but you press left, right, center on something like this. There's not a ton of surface area on that. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it makes sense, though, right? If you use a stamp this size, then you use a certain amount of pressure on it because your pressure gets distributed amongst the surface area. And that's important there. It's not the size of the stamp. Let's say I had a stamp that was this big, but it was just this thin line of a circle, right? If you press on that, you don't have to press very hard because there's not a lot of surface area. But let's say we stamped you know, a stamp that was that size like that, but now here's this stamp right here that has a ton of surface area where your pressure is getting distributed amongst all of that surface area right there. So you're going to have to press harder on something like that because you get that pressure getting, you know, force is getting distributed amongst all of that surface area on something like that. So you don't have to press like super hard, but you go left, center, right on this one, and then I go top and bottom, and I direct that pressure directly down. And also, one of the things that you do in terms of pressure, I just did a video on this one the other day, is you just have some paper or cushioning underneath it, so that's contouring to the bottom of your surfaces too. So the more cushioning you have underneath, the less pressure you have to apply on top because you have this bottom portion that's contouring to it, as opposed to something that's very hard and completely unflexible. Very important and good question. Okay, so let's go with, this one's all inked up right here. I'm gonna have to clean that off if I use it in white in the background there. So I'm just going to go with this Pine Row again because it just has the white ink that I already used on there again. Okay, and let's do some background imagery with that in the form of the white here, of that. Okay, let's see if I'm going to have room. Okay, now see this right here? This is going to go right over the top of that tree, right? So I'm going to blot this off like this on that side. I mean, if we can mask off too. And right here, that's going to get that side. So I'm trying to taper it a little bit where it's, I'm not removing everything. Well, maybe like on the very edges, okay? But then, I mean, you can see it right there being that it's in white ink. Okay, so I've wiped off that, wiped off that. Where it's going to be going right back in here. I think the only masking I'm going to do is this lower portion like this, okay? I'm going to undermask it a little bit too, so that that tree goes right in there. And we'll go with these white trees in the background like that, okay? Now we'll balance this off with some more, you know, imagery in there, but that will be kind of our background imagery. I'm thinking about some other trees right in here. Actually, I'm going to wait for, I'm going to wait for that one to dry, and we're going to come back to, where did it go? This one, all this one ready to go here. So I'm just going to use the top portions of this one in front of this one, but in back of this slope, kind of right down in there. Okay, but let's wait for that to dry. Okay, so we have our imagery kind of set here. And again, now I can see exactly where my kind of creek goes right there. So I'm going to apply a little bit more white ink in here. Someone has 6 toes on each front paw, an extra. Okay, so I'm going to come down here a little bit more now. Okay. Again, I'm not going to be real exact with this, but I can see my little snow banks, okay? And I'm just going in here, and you're just kind of like coloring in like you would, you know, with color, but you're just doing it with white, or you're doing it with snow. Okay. Like that. Okay, let's apply a little bit of this underneath this tree in the form of like that visual kind of mist. It's mist, but it's also kind of like illumination because it's white, okay? I mean, I'd normally do that after I do the colored pencils on here, which I'm going to do here shortly, but I don't know, since I was already doing it down here anyway. All right, let's see. Man, I have a big mess here. That's what always happens. Someone said, I posted a photograph of my kind of demo area at the convention, and someone wrote, "It still looks nice and neat." And I said, yeah, it'll look that way until after I do like one project or one scene. Okay, so see these little sloped areas like this? I have these little defined areas like that little line right there. So all you have to do, if you ever wonder about places to add shadow to, you just have to look at the designs, okay? So there's these little areas right down in here. Let me see if I can zoom in slightly more without it going, My camera goes out of focus in these live streams like this for some reason. Okay, but you can see these little lines down here, okay? So this is colored pencils right here. So this is, for me, the thing that's really unbelievable about Brilliance ink and the printable vinyls, okay? It's this colored pencil ability. I like using things too. Okay, so this isn't, so I didn't have to spray seal this, and I didn't need to heat set it either, okay? I can just go straight into it with this. And okay, so I'm coloring the Brilliance ink, okay? I'm not coloring the vinyl, right? So I can go in here like this, and we can just add in these additional tones and textures and colors very easily, like this. Okay. Oh, here's what I want to do too here. I want to bring in some additional imagery in the foreground right here. So let's do that right now too. I think these trees should be nice and dry. I mean, this stuff really dries fast on here too. First of all, you have a quick drying pigment ink on a surface that's inherently designed to dry fast because it's meant for inkjet printers. So you run something through your inkjet printer, you want it to, that print to dry really fast, right? So you have these two things that's, I don't know, for us crafters, that's pretty good when you have something that's, can dry very quickly without kind of the necessity for, additional processes in the form of, heat setting or embossing, stuff like that. With some types of foils, in order to set things, I have to emboss it or I have to spray seal it. On this, I don't. I'm not going to move away. There's some foils and things like that that I really, have a really fun time with. Some of the holographics are like super dynamic in cardstock form. The holographics with this type of paper, it has a little bit of film over the top of it so that you can print on it. Okay, now here's see these slopes right here that are in the snow. I'm going to mask off that slope like that, and I'll put in, I don't know, you can put in little, winter twigs or something like that into that, but I can put that there. Do you see where that goes like that? So any type of little slope. So you can define a new slope too. Like on this side, I don't really have it, but you can define one just by going like this and adding in, like I said, other branches, twigs, or something like that. Let me grab a couple of those, or one of those little branches too, because it looks really good. I already have these little branchy types of things in here that define little slopes in here, but when you bring that whole area out farther, you can add that same type of element back into it. Okay, there and there. For those of you that don't know, tack and peel, this is tack and peel on here. It's just the sticky thing that you apply to your acrylic blocks. They give you that temporary mounting system for your unmounted rubber. Some of my stamps are clean, some of them are just bare rubber, so I use the tack and peel typically with my bare rubber stamps. All right, going for a little bit of foreground like this. This is the winter brush, it's called. If this was dark down there, you can also do this one in white, if it was darker down here. Like, say if I was stamping it over the top of a lot of the holographic right here, white would be kind of cool, just like it is back up in there. And here's the small one. I don't know if I'll use like the full span of it, but I'll go like this, and I'll just put in a little bit of sloped area, and I'm probably using about half of it or so. Or I don't know, maybe not even that, but kind of putting those little things like that in there. Going back into the background. All right, let's see. All right, there we go. A little bit more depth, huh? Just with the use of like little craggy little, branches. You wouldn't think that, something like this can really change kind of the visuals by too much, but I think it added quite a bit to it. From a textural standpoint, everything was looking kind of soft in here, but then you go in with something like that and it adds that little aspect of kind of crispness, you know, from a textural standpoint. Okay, let's go back in with the colored pencil here, and we'll further define some of these little sloped areas like this. And again, it's in the design itself, so you can just kind of, you know, kind of stay with that kind of design spirit there, like that. See that? I just kind of built up those little snowy slopes in there a little bit. Back around the church, I'll add this little thing like that. I probably shouldn't have had that creek going right directly to that chapel. Now that I think about it, it's a seasonal thing. They had it was like a flood out in Yellowstone, you know. They're gonna have to redo that area. Or this was like the little path, maybe, and it's full of water. But here, some of this is around the side, like this. I love this blue. It's just a slightly warmer blue, aquamarine. To me, it's like yeah, it's a little bit of there's a little bit of warmth to it. I have this pad in dye-based ink form. It's Caribbean blue from Marvy. That's really nice. Okay, so this is adding a little bit of shaded textures or shadow area underneath the trees. You can go into the trees too if you want to. I'm going to add a little bit of shading on the chapel like that. All right, let's go for a little bit of an additional tone here. Here's a little bit of I don't know, cobalt blue or something like that. What is it? It says right on there, I guess. True blue. Huh. True blue. Kind of interesting. And we'll add a little bit of a tonal, I don't know, whatever variation, value variation. That. You can come into your water a little bit too, where I'm doing it directly on top of the foil. It doesn't really apply that well, but it applies a little bit. But for me, this colored pencil on foil ability is just, to me, that's my favorite aspect of this printable vinyl. I just love it. To me, these holographics, I never thought to use them before because they're just too crazy looking. They're just too hot and you know, vibrant of a background. I hadn't, you know, if you stamp something directly over them, you're not going to be able to see it. Even like the strongest of solid imagery, you know, you'd barely be able to see it. But the fact that we can just go in and do this blocking out with the white ink and be able to go over the top of it with, you know, things like colored pencil, which is it's a super mellow type of medium. Everything always looks real soft, you know, with your colored pencils. I just think it's a perfect kind of combination to have these really soft colors and applications to pair with, you know, these electric, you know, kind of moving lights, you know. That, look at this on this one right here. We barely have any of that surface left, but see this down here in the base. I think that's really fun down here. I'm gonna kind of define the edges of the banks of the this little temporary creek. Again, this is the normally the pathway leading up to the chapel, but over the winter time they closed the chapel and it flooded out. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. All right, a little bit of shading underneath. I'm going in with black now, but I'm kind of using it more as like a gray tinge. See, it kind of anchors everything out a little bit more, right? All right, we're going in like that, and then we come back in with our white paint pen. True Blue, Baby, I Love You. Huh. I'm trying to think of that one. There would have had to have been a video to it if I remember that one. I'd have to look that one up. It sounds vaguely familiar though. Okay, let me see here. Going in with my white paint pen and kind of adding a little bit of a crisper. Okay, okay, let me see. That's about as far as I can go in here. Adding a crisper edge to some of these. See, some of my rocks in here are not very visible because they're kind of right on the foil, but I can kind of further define them with a little bit of a white pigment ink on it, or a lot of white acrylic on it, I should say. So that's kind of like coming out a little bit more. So you just define your areas that might have been diffused or whatnot, with the use of all that, layered media in there. I like even on my trees like this in the background, I can put, some little highlights on it like so. So you get this kind of a lot more of a translucent, in this case, white tree, but then you can put these opaque little touches on, some of those branches, so that something that's just stamped out in a, kind of a flat white can look more dimensional like that. See, it's like the chapel right in here. I mean, I just stamped it over a blocked out area of white in there. So it's not like real white, but like on these columns right here, just to kind of pop it out a little bit more. What is I forgot the name of this portion of architecture, entablature or something like that. I wouldn't be able to pass my beginning art history class anymore. We had to like study all those portions of like classical construction, entablature, pediment. Yeah, I forgot. That was like 1,000 years ago, folks. Okay, so adding a little bit of this, this lighting right in here. I didn't do that. I didn't hit it with my black colored pencil enough here. Let me see. See the side of this chapel? I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Maybe not black, but see, if you make it a little bit darker like that now. Okay, it looks a little bit more rounded, you have this illuminated area up top, and see like this area underneath here. And there's a little bit of an eave here. You can go in like that and just kind of darken it in like that. It just looks a little bit more dimensional that way. All right, on this one, this final piece here, I'm going a little bit more crazy with it. It's not so fast of a card like my first couple ones right here, you know? A little bit more componentry on it. I wanted to see what I can do with I don't know, some of the different layers and stuff like that in here. Getting these little trunks again on these trees. So those little trunk things like that, maybe I shouldn't have done on that one. You can just use your God-given eraser like that and just buff it right out like that. But see, these ones right here look really good with that little extra on there. Yeah, let me see. Let me kind of branch this one out a touch. These trees, these are evergreens right here, so I'm not going like crazy like I did with the you know, the autumn aspens or something like that. But you can add in your little highlighting touches with this one, like so. These ones are in color, but a little bit of extra texturing like that would be good. All right, and sometimes you work on with a white acrylic pen or something like that, or the white pigment inks, and it almost becomes like more like painting, you know, or equal parts painting as, you know, whatever, stamping. All right, let's give this one a nice little showering with white paint, a little bit of snowfall in here, okay? This is Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White and our splatter painting tool, formerly known as a cheap toothbrush here, okay? Look how dimensional that is right there. That looks a lot more dimensional than it did before. Just with the colored pencils and the, you know, the white paint pen here. Okay, so taking this, I'm going to splatter paint this whole thing like this. You know, I don't want it like a you know, like a, you know, a total whiteout or anything like that. Where is the splatter paint? It's not, I took too much off here. Okay. I'm trying to hold this up so you can see what's kind of going on. It's just a little bit of a fine dusting. I can't even tell which way okay, here we go. The paint, my brush is getting a little bit stiff because it was sitting around here for the last half hour, so it dried. So the splatter painting is like going this way. Sometimes it's like this way on this brush. Okay. It's like that. And let me see if I don't know if you guys can see this. Here, I'm going to hold it up a little bit more at an angle. You can't see it too much because this is a light color scenario. I don't know, maybe you could see a little bit down here and there, but it's kind of splattered everywhere. You can't see white on white, obviously, but it's kind of over everything. So a little bit of a dusting of it. I probably need to thin out my paint a little bit more. Sometimes when I thin it out, I get a little bit more variation. But let's go with this now. I get a certain type of little kind of spattering up here. So I like to add in variation with my pen again. So I'll just put like larger little dots, which might represent, you know, snowflakes or whatever, closer to us. I think we'll be able to see it a lot in the darker areas, you know, because of the contrast. All right, and that is that. Now, this is what I usually do at this point in time, is I come into it a little bit more with the white pigment ink. We already have it down there, like in this background area, so I won't apply too much of it because it's already there. I don't have to. But see these trees in here? I think that they would benefit from a little bit of diffusion at the base. Okay. I just think they look a little bit more, I don't know, whatever, integrated in with the whatever the atmosphere of it or whatever. Like see right down here too. I mean, I think that looks good as is. But if you add this in here like that, see that kind of softer kind of base like that? Doesn't it look like mist is kind of hovering over this whole, you know, landscape now like that? But you don't put it everywhere. You kind of oscillate it, but I think it gives it a little bit more atmosphere. See even like that branch right there. Let's put it a little bit right here too. Let's see how that looks. All right, so I think that is that. I think that looks reasonably dimensional, like so. I think this looks really dimensional for some reason. I don't know why. You know what I used? I used some of that colored pencil directly on top of the foil and applied onto it. You can see that blue right in there. And right down here, I didn't have. I applied it on some of the white, but it wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot down there. But I don't know. Let me see something here. Yeah. Where's a blank piece of this? I thought I had some of it somewhere. I don't know. No, I don't know. No, maybe I don't know. Maybe there was a little bit of white that went out there like that. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It looks more dimensional to me for some reason than a couple of the other pieces from before. But hey, all the better. Let's see here. Okay. And I think it is great that we don't necessarily have to spray seal or anything else on this. Because I have been working with a lot of surfaces that do require that type of touch, which isn't, a big price to pay for, kind of inherent dynamics of certain types of surfaces that make it easier to, kind of get these attention-getting types of cards, whatever, or areas of cards. But I don't know. I just think they're really fun to do. Now these are all the starry ones. I mean, the holographic one looks really good too. I do want to try out some additional. It doesn't seem that there's not a huge variety of the printable holographic vinyls in terms of different patterns, as much as there are card stocks at this point in time. There's a lot of different card stocks out there. But I don't know. Here's like this icy one that I used recently, but I don't know. I don't think there's not like 5 patterns. I don't think. That I've seen so far, but I do want to play around with some additional things. This one's getting a little bit of a glare here. Let me tilt that up a little bit like that. Actually, my head's in the way of that one. Let me see, like this. That. So again, I don't know, some pretty fun stuff and easy to use. We want, as card makers, we like compatibility, right? In terms of using just about everything that we have. So again, I've done other types of tests on these types of papers, just using them direct Oh, here it is right here. Okay, so this is a printable vinyl. This one's just the holographic though. Dye-based ink impression directly on there. Brilliance ink. I mean, it looks pretty good. The StazOn works really good too. And here's the VersaFine Clair. The Clair is the one that really shocked me though, directly on the printable vinyl. Okay. And this holographic vinyl should be exactly the same as the holographic Starry. Okay, it's going to have the same coating on there, but the dye-based one gave kind of the weakest impression on here, but it dried just fine. Everything dried fine. Okay, the StazOn is the one that if you're printing directly onto the vinyl. Remember, if I used it over in this type of application, I'm using it on the Brilliance White. Okay, if I'm stamping like this was. Yeah, I didn't use StazOn at all in here, but the one thing about stamping directly with StazOn on here is you just be a little bit careful, kind of stamp it down there and then peel off because that StazOn dries like super fast. So it's like adhered to it. So it's almost like peeling off, you know, the vinyl from the stamp, you know what I mean? It like dried and it's like an adhesive on there. So just, you know, play around with those types of things, you know, do a couple test prints if if you're testing out different brands of inks and whatnot on this type of surface and just see what works and see how long something takes to dry. Try some other types of media. Some people mentioned like glitter types of things, or I don't know. Yeah, what I don't know. Someone, it wasn't glitter. Someone mentioned earlier. I forgot who mentioned it, but I don't know. I think there's all kinds of different possibilities here. All right, so I missed a lot of the questions. I apologize. I was doing so much kind of experimentation here. Which white pen is that, Kevin? That one was the I think you were talking about this one. It was the fine point one, right? It's the Artistro, okay? But as I've mentioned in other videos before, I have a feeling that all of these 0.7 millimeter paint pens are coming out of the same factory because they're all built the exact same way. It has the exact same cap and mold, unless someone made a mold, you know, and this is the paint pen mold, and you know, different factories are making paint pens. I doubt it. You know, it's probably one manufacturer with a bunch of different brands out there, but I've had really good luck with the Artistros, the Meowsen. Was that the name of that other white one that I used? Excellent. They're all, you know, really. Okay, that being said, I did use the one of my Lan Ren Wang pens, and I don't know. I need to get that thing flowing again, but that one has kind of a higher pigment to binder content ratio, I guess. But I think that one, I don't know, I got to get that one flowing again. I haven't used it for a while, so I think the tip is a little bit clogged. So I need to see if that one's going to get flowing again. If it's not, then it's, you know, that's not going to be my my go-to for as far as lasting quality, okay? Glad you're back, Linda D. She lost the feed there. I don't know, maybe the feed, my presentation got too boring and it looks like your computer said, you know, I'm out of here. This one is the printable vinyl. Yeah. Mine will be here Wednesday. You're going to love it, Valinda, in terms of the media compatibility, I think. So, I regressed into food again. That's fine, Linda. This video is always going to be up there, you know, for all eternity in replay form, so be sure and watch it every day. That being said, so here's another one. Does the paint add a thickness to your printable vinyl? Okay, well, I'm sure it does, Virginia. I don't think it would be kind of detectable though, but you know, I mean, adding that down there like that, the bleed proof white is the only thing that you really kind of, like if I closed my eyes and if I ran my finger across this, I do feel kind of a textural difference because this is like, you know, like a slippery plastic or something like that. And then as I'm moving it on here, I mean, like I've added a lot of paint to this, but it's not raised up like you know, it's not going to be raised up like a 32nd of an inch or something like that, you know. It would be so minute, but I can definitely feel it as I run my finger over it. Like I don't think I can feel like this word stamp here just stamped out, but I'm trying to see if I can even detect a difference. Okay, so I can't detect anything from the pigment ink right here either. This white pigment ink on here, it's just too thin. From a textural standpoint, though, I can feel it. You know, it's a little bit slipperier. Then when you get over this area, like in here, to me, what this area right here feels like, or, you know, any of these areas where I've applied that white block out paint, it feels like copy paper to me, you know, like this. That's what that feels like. And when I start applying colored pencil to that white pigment ink, it doesn't feel like I'm applying it over the top of a like super high quality cardstock, like a coated cardstock. To me, it feels like copy paper. Okay, for the colored pencil I'm talking about. So, I mean, but for me that's good because it gives me that tooth to apply in like these types of areas really nicely. So I don't know. To me, I really like that aspect of it. Down here, this was okay in terms of how it handled that type of media and build up on top of that. I guess I would use it again. You know, if I was to do a nighttime scenario with this, I would do anything. If you keep in a kind of a blue kind of color scheme, that tends to look more night-like, you know, so you can do so. Oh, I forgot. I'm not going to do it here, but I was going to do a moon in over the top of this. I didn't do moons anywhere here, but I was going to stamp a moon somewhere. And I don't know, maybe I should do that. In a future, I'll do it in a future video, but like on something like this, I think it'd be cool to have a moon in here, reflected down here. We wouldn't see a bunch of stars on a moonlit night, no, but you know, I think, you know, that it doesn't have to be. These are more kind of whimsical applications. First of all, we're using this, you know, super, you know, glittery, you know, foily type of, you know, surface like that. So I don't know, it's kind of more, I don't know, what does it look like? This looks like a, you know, one of those party types of lighting kind of laser things that you might add to something like that. It's like a, you know, you can go, it's like, this looks like really mellow like that, but then you can go full like disco ball, not, you know, or something like that to this scenario like that. So it's like completely crazy to, you know, fairly mellow like that. That's what I like about this these types of reflective surfaces or the holographics and oh, I don't know what else with it. You know, like not pearl, but pearl a little bit because it's you know, it's very reflective. I guess reflectives they just changed. It's a different personality depending on the light that you have reflected off of there. I guess and this isn't even like warm lights or anything like that. If you had like a incandescent bulbs, they might look completely different. So it just depends. Or someone's looking at it under like sunlight, you know, it'll look different depending on that. So I really like that aspect of the different personalities inherent, you know, just within the exact same card. You know, it just looks different. Normally we have to use different color schemes and treat a white piece of paper differently. I'm not moving away from white and you know, colored, you know, like white cardstocks and glossy cardstocks and all that type of thing. Those ones have the widest range of potential, you know, whatever mood definitions because we can add things to it. I mean, I can't, you know, I'm not going to add like a sunset, you know, tonal scheme over the top of that. You can't do that I know of yet, you know. I don't know, maybe someone will come up with something like that, but I don't know. These are pretty quick ways to get, you know, a lot of variety kind of in your end results, and I really like that. So Linda got the pack. Printable vinyl, right, Linda D? Linda B got the cold laminate holographic starry vinyl, And she did some amazing things with that. I want to get some of that now, Linda, after you played around with that. But those cold laminate ones are where you just kind of apply that sticker right over the top of, whatever you've already done, and you get these stars in there. But I liked some of the looks that she achieved from that too, because anything that was light, a light area, you were able to see the stars, but the darker areas, they just completely blended in with the background. I think that's how that one worked. So that was pretty cool. Donna, Amazon has it. It's the koala. Um, the title of this is almost too big for me. It's the vinyl holographic printable starry sticker paper. I'll have a link to it. I put links to it in all my other videos where I used it, so I'll have a link to it in this one. I don't put links and everything like that because I don't know what I'm going to be using on these videos when I start them, usually. So, yeah. Okay, I love all the cards, but the country church is my favorite. I think that's my favorite too, Well, it's the one that I spent the most amount of time with too on this one. So it has the most amount of layering on there. But the thing that I like about this one is it came out, and I used like two blues on, the colored pencils on this one. But I like that. I don't know, there's some kind of like blue in there. So, I don't know, this looks so dimensional like this. Three-dimensional, and two, this is the one of those scenarios where we have the that light kind of, reflected down here. I'm talking about the sky. It's not really light, but it's that little thing down there. And like I said, if you have some of that kind of twinkling in this other area, I think that looks really good too. I didn't do that on this one. I blocked it out pretty hard with the white pigment ink. But yeah, I think that's my favorite as well. Yeah. This one, I could have done it. Oh, you know what I did right here? I should have left this area right here a little bit blank to get that reflective area down in this little water area. But I don't know, maybe this area right here is like frozen over where that one is, it's still flowing. Right here. Super easy one. You can get this one really needs like a quote stamp down here. And I don't know, I really like this look of this. I need to do more quote stamps right over the top of it like that, because I think that really breaks up that whole area in there too. Like I said, sometimes, sometimes that holographic foil, reflective foil like that, especially in these patterned ones, sometimes it's a little bit too loud. So that's why I'm kind of mellowing it out a lot. I mean, on this one here, it's blocked out a lot. I don't know, like I said, I didn't use these before because the look of this, a big, huge sheet of this did not appeal to me. You know what I mean? Showing over the whole thing. But I like it in combination with other kind of complementary or taming parts. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, so I guess in this one right here, it's like dominating in terms of the area used. Okay, and this one it's almost like half. But again, okay, so that's why I'm getting at that quote over the top of it like that. It just kind of mellows it out. And remember how I added that little extra bit right here on this one, for those of you when watching this, but this cloud was down here, but I added that little diffusion up there. It's because this whole area right in here is a little bit too much too for me. I can't handle, so much of it, So I like that kind of diffusion. And then plus when you kind of add these little areas like that, when you mute it out, you're getting a different version of that vinyl. So you're changing it too. So it's not just a straight vinyl holographic, it's kind of a fogged over area of it. So just like we kind of control kind of our applications of color and, colored pencil in this case, how you have darker versions of it and lighter versions of it, you can have darker and lighter versions of that background space in there too. I haven't tried going over it, I don't think, with like black pigment ink or the black brilliance too. I'll have to try that one of these days. and go into that kind of what I don't know, whatever scenario or something like that, and that'll mute it out too. I've been muting out with white, but I don't know. I hadn't even thought about muting it out with black yet. So, yeah, holographic vinyl from Amazon. There's so many different types in there too. I don't know if it's all the same. They might be. Okay, so yeah, yeah, Paulette. They do, don't they? Um, and this is all kind of working with the same medium too. So I haven't even branched out very far. I think I probably have. I don't know. I went a little bit crazy with it for like a week in there when I first started playing around with those holographic vinyls. So I'm not even sure how many videos I have of this, but I haven't been working with it for too long. I don't know, 2 months or something like that, maybe. You know, and I don't know. I haven't experimented a lot with it, so I think there's going to be a lot more possibilities in terms of our potential applications with it too. I did the UFO scene with that one. I need to get a little bit more playful with it too, in the spirit of like a children's book type of application of it. Like I said, I love all those different types of children's books, like Eric Carle and I don't know, just stuff that would have had something really dynamic and different on a page, flipping around the pages. I like all those different children's books that had like a little battery in there. So, like an Eric Carle book, you might flip it to the last page and there's this little blinking LED light for, I think it was The Lonely Firefly. And there was another one that was this little cricket or something like that. So you opened it up the last page and it's this little cricket. Okay. But what I'm getting here is I like this little kind of thing that it's almost like you have lights within there. And I've thought about using things like small LEDs before, in some kind of scenario. And I actually bought some. And I don't know, I was reading up on things of how to kind of wire that on. There's those little wire things that you can add on to the back, you know. But I do like that we have this illumination and flickering lights in there without really having to do any of that type of, electronics in there, which that stuff is. But I like having these things like this. Okay, so, crystals on here would look really good too, and I've done that before. So adding little crystal types of things over the top of that, I think, is another thing that you're doing. I wanted this to be more of a quick card type of application for this vinyl, though, so I'm not going to do it here. But I mean, one of these days, I mean, I think it would be really cool to go on this pattern right here and really add on like a bunch of little crystals into this paper, and I think that would be really fun. I've done it sparse little applications, like 2 or 3 or something like that, but I don't know, adding some of that down here. You can add it up in the sky here. You can add a couple little crystals down here, and I think that'd be really fun. I don't think there's holographic crystals, or I don't know, maybe there are. I'd probably use the clear ones though, that would pick up the colors of the foil maybe a little bit more. So yeah. But yeah, I've been saying this all along, Paulette. If I was stamping out a card for a kid, especially if they're a lot younger, I would do it on the holographic foils, and I would probably add in like glow in the dark stars, to that. Or they have also little glow in the dark little dots too that look like stars, and I would put a bunch of them up here, so that when a kid gets a card, they can go like this to it. And then they would charge it up and they'd go into a closet, to take a look at that. And I think you do things like that for a kid. And I keep mentioning this, but like a kid, it's hard to compete with a tablet or something like that these days, where they're on doing computer games all the time. But if you can get some kid to kind of hold something like this and do this a little bit and to run into a closet, and look at it in a glow in the dark type of situation, I think you've won. And then especially, You can write on there whatever, you can put it next to your bed, and then you'll have these glow in the dark little lights, I don't know, kid's going to have a night light or something like that, but, they might be more inclined to, flip off the light or something like that and to really enjoy, kind of you know, a light reactive type of, surface like that in the dark, and maybe they're less afraid of the dark because they're looking forward to flipping them, flipping those lights off. That's what I used to do with my son. He loved the dark because we did all those types of little things like that, with glow in the darks and all that type of thing like that. So, all right. Thanks so much for checking out the video. I'm going to format these into folding cards here, off camera here. But thanks so much for checking out the techniques in here and whatnot. I hope you enjoyed them. Just sitting around and talking about these things too, it's given me some other ideas of scenarios and whatnot to add into these pieces, and maybe I will add on some of those little glow in the dark dots. I got some of those fairly recently. Recently meaning over this last year when I was doing all these reflective types of things. I want to do something with the dark tree trunks and stuff on here, and I want to put in those little dots, I think, glow in the dark dots, and I'm going to put a little diffusion with a little Q-tip, and do a little bit of a soft application of it, like it's a little glowing little area, and I'm going to put that little glow in the dark dot right in there. Not in this scenario right here, but I think in trees where I'm going to have this kind of louder background in terms of a night sky, but those little glow in the dark dots are going to be my little fireflies. I think that you can get those little dots in green. You can get them in green, like, or blue colors. I'm trying to remember now if I got it in the greenish tinge, for fireflies, but I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah. I don't know, dipping into the childhood types of aesthetics, is kind of fun too. This is the type of paper, if you were given like a choice of papers to use, as a kid, like in a kindergarten class or elementary school. I don't know about fifth graders, but, and you had a bunch of colored papers out. You had white. You better have like this type of paper, like 20-1 over all those other types of papers that, some kid's going to want to work with. So I don't know. There's something to be said for that in terms of, I don't know, whatever visual aesthetics. Okay, so thanks to everyone. Thanks for joining in. Have a great rest of evening. Have a great rest of week here coming up here. Thanksgiving's going to be here soon, unbelievably so. So, I don't know. Christmas cards, probably a lot of you guys already have your Christmas cards done, but if you don't have them all done, you want to come up with some different scenarios, you want to make some little ornaments or something like that, I think something like this could be pretty fun. And this, like this type of paper too would be really reflective, kind of in hanging up in a ornament type of scenario. So, yeah, maybe I'll try some different little kind of smaller scenes in ornament form here. I think that would be really fun. And it'd really make a great kids project too, speaking of kids, and I don't know, real fast applications. All right, good night, everyone. Oh, Linda bought a glow in the dark marker. We want to know if that works or not, Linda. I have some glow in the dark paints too. Some of the glow in the dark inks that I've had, you charge them up and it, maybe I didn't use enough of it, but it like lasts, you flip off the light and it lasted like, I don't know, like 5 seconds. It just wasn't, it just didn't have enough of that luminance, I don't know what you would call it, that illumination. It just didn't hang around long enough. So, that didn't work for, but like I said, maybe I used it too sparse. I think I was using it in that, firefly type of scenario. I wanted to have this glowing green type of, thing going on, and it didn't do that for me. But I didn't, maybe popping that into those little glow in the dark little dots They're like little raised dots too. They're pretty cool. They're like vinyl or something like that that I got. I need to take a look at them again, but I think we can come up with some really cool looking things. But let us know if that works for you, the glow in the dark marker, because if it does, that'd be awesome. Yeah. If it's like one of these types of pens, though, I'm just not sure how much of that glow in the dark type of ink applies in terms of opacity. I think I think in one video I did, I stamped under a black light though, you know, which is kind of fun. That's something I would want to do with kids too if I ever had if I, I'm not going to have like scouts again, but Cub Scouts. I think I did a stamping thing with them, but I wasn't thinking about glow in the darks at that point in time. I did it later, but I would do that glow in the dark type of thing. An art project. I think it was one of those things that we needed to do to fulfill, one of those Cub Scout things. So I would stamp under a black light, and I would pull out the glow in the dark types of things like that marker and those stickers and things like that too. And I think that would be really fun to do. And under a black light too, something like this white pigment ink, that would really be glowing like that purplish tinge. So I think that would be kind of cool. So I need to do that again. I should have done that but that would have been more appropriate for Halloween. Nightmare Before Christmas. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. And hope you have a great rest of week. I'll be on doing, I don't know, some other types of scenarios coming up here soon. So wanted to get in some more of this vinyl, holographic, printable, starry sticker paper. That's a real mouthful. But fun.